So, hi friends, welcome to another episode of DataBicep. From today, we are starting a new series where we invite various industry experts to know from them what it really takes to be successful in the world of data. So, we are going to have a discussion here, and please do subscribe us and let me know if you have any question in the comment section so that we can address that in our subsequent conversation. So, let's welcome the founders of one of the leading career counseling services in India, Alok and Shruta. They are the alumni of IIM Bangalore and IIM Ahmedabad. Few years back, they have identified a gap among the mindset of aspiring students and mid-career professionals. And with that gap, they founded their company in 2017, GoCrackIt. And since then, they have helped thousands of people in deciding what career journey they should take. And now, after so many years, almost all IIMs, that means Ahmedabad, Calcutta, Lucknow, Indore, list just goes on, are availing their career services. So with that, let's welcome Alok and Suruta. Hey Alok.
Hello.
Hey
Hi,
Suruta.
Mosam. Hi.
Hi, Mosam. Glad to be here.
So today I'd like to pick your brain among one of the major mottos that we have in the data bicep and what we call that in today's world, irrespective of the career we choose, irrespective of the number of years of experiences we have, irrespective of the industries we are in, we all have to be data literate to be successful. And do you think is that true? And especially I'm asking since you have coached so many students and they have gone to different industries. I believe it could be you might have some revelation that is the motto is right, or we think that we need to change the motto.
Yes. So what does data literate mean in today's world, right? One is that people should be able to interpret data. First of all, with the improving technology, the data collection and the availability of data is really increased and improved, right? And the with the increasing systems, right, the quality of data has also been increased, right? So now it is, and it makes sense that because being a data literate means whatever resources you have in terms of data, how you are leveraging it for improving the outcomes which you are looking at. So you can see data everywhere in sectors like, so definitely in technology, but even then in finance, in power, in manufacturing, everywhere data is used. What is increased and what is improved is the collection and the quality of data. Hence, it is very imperative that one should be data literate. That's for sure. And in we have seen that in our when we mentor students, people who are more aware about how they can use data, uh, uh, they are flourishing. And one more reason for that is there are a lot of new careers are coming in, right? There are new careers which you might not have heard in 5 years back or 6 years back. So now when recruiters come, companies come and they want to hire students or professionals, working professionals, how do they hire them? How do they evaluate them? Right? Literacy of data. Are they able to bring insights from whatever their observation or the facts or the data they are seeing? Is one of the most important transferable or the skill which is preferred amongst recruiter to hire, because they know, right? Let's say if I want to hire a blockchain engineer or a blockchain manager, I may not find so many blockchain engineer and blockchain manager. So I have to hire someone who has potential or talent or some signals which I can leverage to decide whether I should be hiring him or her or not. And one of the so other things are problem solving skills, structuring of the thoughts, communication skills, storytelling, and everything combined. Data analytics or analytical mind, as some people call it, right? It has become a very important skill nowadays to really which a lot of recruiters look at. So that's I mean, there's no doubt that data literacy is just limited to some sectors and it is not required for other sectors. It is required everywhere.
And thanks for saying this because when I have a hypothesis uh, that we do need data and data literacy in every career. And rather,
Correct.
I'll go to Suruta because she has worked in the world of investment banking. She has worked in consulting. And if we go to any IIMs, if you ask any IIM graduates, I think the first two industry they say that we would like to go in are either investment banking or management consulting. But do you see that
True.
they realize that these two industries are very, very much data heavy, and people need to understand data like back of their palm if they want to be successful in these two industries. So, have you seen the people
Yeah.
have that mindset or that understanding?
Yeah. So let me start with a little bit of my background. So post my MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, I had joined investment banking in EY, and at that point of time in 2000, that was in 2008, right? So that time this data thing was just coming up, right? It hadn't blown up to this high, proportion. So for investment banking perspective at that point of time, yes, we had to handle a lot of data. We didn't know or we didn't have access to tools which would help us, right? So for us, I mean, as investment bankers, the client valued us because we could analyze that data, and that was just on Excel sheets, right? So for us, the tool was Excel sheet. For investment bankers, typically we need to build large financial models, which could help clients to see their businesses a few years down the line, and then with that, help them raise funds, basically, right? Either through equity or debt. That is what investment bankers typically do. Now the scenario has changed, right? So now there have been models which are already built. You really don't, as an investment banker, you don't need to start first by building an Excel model. Models are built based upon lot of data which is already existing, based upon previous deals, previous models which are built. So ability to understand the objective, ability to understand the deal structure, and then use the the tools, right, or understand what past has thrown for us has become even more important, right? So, and that brings us that it's not that you can see a deal just as an independent deal, right? You need to see it with so many other things, wherein again the entire data mindset helps. Secondly, the management consulting role, right? So I was just so we have been we are advising students from tier 1 MBA schools, and we are doing something called as a summer internship excellence program. So people have just gone into their summer internships. So there's this guy who has gone into, I think, AT Kearney or ADL or McKinsey, one of these three firms. And the first job that his manager has given is that he has been given some amount of data, and he has said that you need to, analyze this, give me this output within 1 hour using a Python script. You can't do anything else. So so he's gone into thinking that I'm a management consultant, going to do strategy and all that. But the first task which has been given is something related to data analytics, right? Wherein now the student is baffled. I don't know what to do, right? And that is where I think, consultants were earlier valued for their, analysis, right, of large amount of data. But now this could be done using data analytics, its knowledge, its tools, and all of that, right? Skills and all of that, right?
And
hence,
here I would like to say one thing, and this is really funny because we always make a fun of management consultants, say that, hey, when a consultant comes, they come with their 2 by 2 metrics, like it. But what I'm seeing that more and more as we keep becoming sophisticated with data, as we becoming sophisticated with technology, we just don't confine ourselves in just 2 by 2 metrics. Rather, we would like to have more pointed direction, more pointed answers, right? And I believe that what you are saying is very similar to that, right? They said, don't come with your 2 by 2, come with something more actionable, which is more specific,
yes,
right? More segmented. So in
correct,
that,
correct.
I'm just thinking,
Yeah, just I mean, I would like to add to that, as Alok had said earlier, right, that because now industries also have more access to data, the client also comes with this requirement, right, that we have this data, or can we, use this data, and hence, can you give me insights based upon this, right? So that's also a change from the industry as well, because they are also like collecting and trying to analyze. They don't know whether they're doing it right or wrong. So I think that factor is also playing an important role in changing careers of management consultants per se. Yeah.
One thing you said, it's quite intriguing. Like you say, when the person joined in a management consulting firm, the manager said, you have to use Python. You cannot use anything else. And that's purely technology. That's purely IT. And whenever we talk about a role of data analyst, the first thing that comes onto our head that he needs to build certain dashboards, so he needs to have certain IT skills. But you clearly see that people do come from different backgrounds. They either have experiences, they may not have experiences. But have you seen that actually affects the mindset and that helps them either to progress or they start with a negative in the long run in their career?
Okay. So shall I take a slight jab at that? So it does affect students in both ways, as you said, right? A lot of people are afraid because they don't know what this data analytics is, right? What what should I do if I get this data, right? So they are afraid of that because they haven't been trained in that way, right? that you don't need to get afraid or you don't need to get challenged by that. And there are ways in which you can learn, and I'm sure Data Biceps is doing a good job, or would be helping students on that. I think that is very essential, right? I mean, enabling people who are just entering to make them feel comfortable, right? It's not rocket science as such, right? But then they shouldn't get afraid of using data, and hence working on that. I would say that.
Even I think, just to add one more thing here, I mean, even using technical skill doesn't make you, I mean, if you think that way, that it will make me a technical person. I'm a management consultant, how can I use a Python? It's not
Mhm.
like that. Like,
Mhm.
ultimately, now these technologies are tools for you. It's like Excel, right? I mean, you have been using Excel. You're never saying that, why do I use Excel? It's also a technology tool only, right?
Correct.
So now tool have evolved. So why don't we use a better tool to learn the same thing from the data? So maybe because Excel would be having some limitations on number of data and all those things. So using tools doesn't make you technical. If you think that way, first of all, there's no problem in being technical. Actually, in today, actually being technical has a edge
Mhm.
over some people, right? So because data is available, because as I said, technologies are available, data is available, so why not use it? Why not leverage it, right? So I think that is very important to understand. Ki ultimately, you have data, you need to analyze it, and you need to bring insights from it, and those tools are your friend to help you. So you can consider that as an investment uh, in those things, and that will give you even better return than what you are doing right now, for sure.
And I can't agree more because I was reading a McKinsey newsletter a few days back, and they clearly said in today's world there is nothing called technology strategy anymore, or there is nothing called IT strategy anymore. It is just strategy, and technology IT is just is embedded into it, right? So I completely agree with you, but that's where things become a little tricky because if you really look at last 2 years, 2021, 2023, 2022, there was really an euphoria. All technology companies were hiring big. And I know people who have doubled, tripled their salary within 1 year. But we all knew that this is not sustainable. Right. And slowly the companies are feeling the same as well. And companies are saying that our cost of employee has gone so high that it is not feasible or it is not sustainable. So many of the companies have started laying off their workforce, and many companies are saying that we don't know what to do with the new workforce. But on the other hand side, it's become an expectation for new starters that, hey, since I'm starting new and I have a fancy tag with me, I'm entitled to get a such and such salary, right? But a lot of things, most of them have not seen any downtrend of the industry. They are still not, what I feel, they're still not ready to understand. That was something, an outlier, what happened in last 2 years. But it will realize that it will normalize at some point of time. But when you talk to various students, do you think people sit in the same mindset or they still have certain level of salary bracket in their mind where slowly the companies are seeing that it's not sustainable in the long term?
So, so I think uh, first of all, students are students. So, people are compare basically.
Mhm.
Basically, people compare with their friends, their seniors, or whosoever they can see, right? And let's say during a peak time, right? If somebody has got more salary, they would expect that they should also be, because they have referenced that number in their mind, irrespective of whether it is actually feasible or not. So that is one thing. So comparison it does happen, and second is, which should not happen ideally, but that's very easier said
We
than done.
all are human beings. We all love to earn
Yeah,
more.
yes, 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 definitely. I mean, second point is, see, salaries going up and down has factors which is beyond students' capability or companies' capabilities, which is, one is economic cycle, and demand and supply of talents. Right, these two factors. So when the economy is going up, you need more people for your growth. Then you would tend to pay more then that is not required, right? So that is definitely governed by economic cycle. You go up with the tide and you go down with the tide, right? Whatever tide is, that economic tide, right, I'm talking about. So it goes with that. And what students should understand, a student or a job aspirant should understand, that ultimately, to make it sustainable, ultimately you need to perform in a way that the expectation is such that you need to perform in a way that adds to the whatever bottom line or top line of the company, whatever is company's more objective. So that has to be, so if you really want to, so even in downturn you can sustain your salary irrespective of what level you join, if you're adding value to the company. So let's say there are 10 people and you are adding a lot of value to this thing. Even in downturn, you will be valued more than others. What may get affected could be maybe the rise in payment or the growth for shorter term because of the economic impact. But still, you will be able to sustain. That is one point. So adding value is the central piece of advice I would always give to people. Ki whatever you're doing, if it is expected from you to do 100, you do 200. You over deliver on your strength. Second, more importantly, because economy is changing, because technology is changing, because society is changing, because so many dynamics are changing, you need to keep changing your learning pattern on what is required now to learn to again help your company or your business or yourself grow more, right? That is the central piece of information. And how do you do that is, one, you should be, I mean, it's a planning, like it's a time management. One, you should be aware of things, what is happening around. You should devote some time to learn about it, and definitely some amount of investment you should be doing. Maybe talking to a mentor, talking to a maybe a course, taking a course, short term, long term, depending upon your this thing. You should be building a habit of learning things, or at least be aware of things which are trending. For example, just small example. Nowadays, this chatbots, AI chatbots are really trending. At least you should be knowing what is it. At least you should do some hands on to check how I can take help of it, right? So you need to divide your time in such a way that you are doing your job best, what is required for you to do, and more than best actually, and learn something which is trending, which will, when I say trending means which is really a good tool or something, technology which you think you can use in your areas, right? And learn about it. Maybe if possible, take mentorship or take courses, or do you on your own. It doesn't matter how you're doing it, so that you are in the loop, and maybe you're using it in your current job also. So that is the mindset I think is required for you to grow and sustain in this thing. Nowadays we have helped people. Let's say a company is coming for product management role. Okay, now we have helped people in such a way that post interview, the company is so convinced that this guy will add value. They have given him better salary than what they come for, a better designation than what they have come for. So that's not just a kind of a muddled statement that you should be able to add value. You should demonstrate that you can add value, and definitely consistently work on it during the job. Then whatever salary or whatever expectation you have, right? You might be closer to it. If it is unexpected, if it is not that much, I mean, it is beyond the limit, then I mean, you might have think, but more or less you will be doing better in the job, because ultimately for sustaining, you need to add value and you need to learn quickly for the next technologies or next things.
And then that's great. Actually, yeah, Sruta, you are.
Yeah, Mosam, I have a thought, an observation, and a question for you now. Okay, so what you mentioned, right, that in this past 2-3 years, right, there has been a lot of euphoria. Salaries have gone up, salaries have gone down, etc., etc. So one, again, it's a thought that I was thinking, that is it also because of the skill that you know about a technology is getting commoditized. For example, 5 years ago, probably people who knew Python were very few in number. Vis-a-vis now, that would have been 100x, and it has become a commoditized skill, right? And hence, the salary for that skill probably would go down, right? Based upon demand and supply, right?
Absolutely.
And probably now, what Alok said, probably for knowing conversational AI and how to do that, probably the demand and hence the salary for that could be higher. So, right, is it something that that I mean, students or professionals who want to get into this should also, for a higher salary, look at what are the upcoming technologies. So that's first part of the thought and observation. And the second part is, now because of so much evaluation of technology, there are so many these no code things,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Because of which even probably the talent of professionals is veering more towards the why part rather than the coding or the tech part. And hence, probably people who are able to think through more from a problem solving perspective would probably have a higher demand and a higher salary than who just know tech, which might be even outdated. I mean, So again, I mean, throwing it open to you because I mean, you have worked in this space for a long time.
So this is really a great question, and thanks for asking the question. So you really see the salary, what we are seeing, are a function of few parameters. It has both economic parameters, it has both the trend parameters, and it has both the demand supply parameters, right? So if we just break this answer in three buckets, then we say the economic parameters played huge in last 2 years. Like the world has printed 40% of their entire money. Money was cheap and everybody was trying to invest. So money was free flowing in the market. That really helped to boost up the salary. But if you now you talk about the second bucket, that's the trend. In trend, we have seen there is always a hype cycle of technology. So typically what happens whenever a new technology comes, it quickly goes up in the hype cycle. At that point of time, everybody wants to ride that tide. And since
Right.
a lot of people don't know what it is, they think that the person in front of them know better than them. So they try to hire them with a lot more money, right? But eventually
Right.
that hype cycle comes down and stabilizes at some point of at somewhere. And that time you build quite a big mass who really understand two things. One, is it the right technology? Because we all know Meta was huge, right? Multiverse was huge. Now it's crumbling down, right? And a lot of people
True.
were earning a lot of money just talking about multiverse, right? So
Right.
that's one part. The second part is that since the overall talent increases, it becomes easier to get more people. And that really comes to the third bucket of the question, the demand and supply. Right? So you see at the last stage where the demand comes down to a certain normalized level and the supply suddenly increase. And I particularly pick one point. What we have seen that a person who just know how to write Python code, they started calling themselves data scientists. At one point of time, people were buying that narrative. The reason they didn't know what data science was, but now really they understood that with such a low code, no code platform, just knowing Python doesn't help. The real job of data scientist is to understand and find that why part of it, so that we can do a root cause
Correct.
analysis and then finally
Correct.
give an analysis in a synthesis in a way that it is actionable. Because analytics alone cannot solve a problem and cannot generate money. It needs to have some actionable outcomes, and when people do take the action, then the real value capture comes in, right? So
Right.
I believe what I'm seeing, to answer your question, see, we as an industry are going through a maturity cycle, right? And especially who are contributing into the industry, especially who was now trying to come into the industry, seeing just few years seniors that hey, 2 years back, certain someone got this hike and that hike, but they don't. A lot of time they don't realize that that time we were sitting in a hype cycle. Right now the things are coming down. So that's where I see a lot of mental adjustment needs to be done. And that this is the great question to segue to our next part of conversation. And what I call skill is not the only thing that takes you to a long career, because skill gives you the first boost and it's given. But in order to sustain in a very long career, you need to have a right mindset or right mental health to do that. And since you are working with a lot of professionals and not only someone who is just starting their career, but someone who has spent good amount of time in the industry and want to go and jump into a mid-career profession, how do you think that how matured are they becoming in just having the right mindset to sell through in a longer, more successful career, not just getting an initial boost?
Sudha, you want to take this question first?
Yeah, sure. Uh, so if you now again, you can bucket people, right? I mean, people who are just starting out their careers now, right? What we call as Gen Z or even the generation which is coming up right now, right?
And you make me
So
feel really old, man.
no, it's I mean it's the reality, right? I mean, when we are speaking to people who are just graduating right now, the mindset and the world they live is a very different world, right? The reality around them might be the same reality which we have, but they live in their own digital world,
Mhm.
right? Which sometimes is disconnected to what the real world is about, right? So that is where it's a challenge, right? I mean, working with youngsters, right, who are just setting out, right, and they have actually grown up in the age of Instagram and everything Insta, right? So they really want things which are like instant gratification is the way to go, right? So if you ask them to do a time series and then see seasonality and look at a winter holds model and all that, they're like, what are you talking about, right? I mean, this is not something that we want to do. Tell me the tools, right? Or tell me the shorter way to do that. and this is what they are trained for. That is what they want, right? Something which is instant. They are, I mean, again, I'm generalizing it, but majority of the generation are in this age where they really do not want to spend a lot of time to learn, and then which is a challenge, right? Because then again, if you don't get into the basics, if you don't get to the depth, then it's a challenge going ahead. If you look at people who are, probably, 10 years, 5 to 10 years, right, in their work experience, they have seen the hardships and the reality of corporate life, right? They know that, there is no easy way out, and, they need to really kind of, whatever, go through that grind, right, to rise and to, showcase themselves in the corporate world. And hence they are willing and ready to take those efforts. But again, they want to be sure that, okay, if I want to get to point Y from point X, tell me a quick path where I can go over there, right? So I think that is that mindset of people, and for them, it's a little challenging for making them learn new things, right? I mean, it's difficult to unlearn and learn again, right? So that's a challenge that we face with people who have got some years of experience. Yeah, I think I hope I've kind of answered what you had asked.
So
Alok,
if I have to take few points from here, I think clearly you said skill is going to be there, but at the same point of time, one has to have the real mindset to unlearn and learn continuously to progress in a longer career. And a lot of people think that it's easy money. Possibly it's not going to be if you see the career from a long-term view. Maybe they got an initial boost. And I think one of the questions I ask, and I like to go to Alok for that, since I know Alok, you came from the someone from a tier 2 city, whereas Suruda always lived in tier 1 city. And you interview a lot of people who come from tier 2 cities. And there is always a debate that if you are not coming from tier 1 cities, it is little difficult to break the corporate world. But is it true? Is there any truth in that?
Okay. Okay, let me tell you. So just last, just kind of giving my thoughts to last point, which is skill. What I always believe and tell people that skill will, in short term, skills are important. They will give you job or they will give you opportunity. But in long term, knowledge, stakeholder management, emotional questions, all those soft skills, which is some of those skills which will take you to further to in your long term skills. So skills are really important. Every time it is important because they make you efficient, they make you effective. But for long term sustenance in career to grow, right, you should be developing other attitudes, emotional quotients, and all other things which I said are really important, right? So that is answering the last question. Now, about the question about that I am being from people from tier 2 cities versus people from tier 1 cities. Okay, I'll give you a kind of a flavor of it, some colors to it. So one is when we were so I graduated in 2004. At that time, if we have to get a job, if we have to take a job, we have to come to some metro city first,
Mm-hmm.
spend our money, stay in some PG, go for on this walk-in interviews, right? And maybe in 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, or even 3 months, depending upon the interview and company, you'll get a job, and then your career starts.
Mm-hmm.
Till that time, so a lot of people from my college, they will come first to Pune, Bangalore, or some big cities, Hyderabad, and they will search for job and they will get it. So that itself was there was not opportunity. Or people will do some job there and there, local in local colleges, they will teach or they will all work in some local industries. That was the second option. Third option was do some higher studies, like I gave MTech. So I went to IIT Kanpur. So now that was certain that I'll get some job there
Mm-hmm.
after 2 years, right? So those are three. Some people do CAT and maybe join some colleges, maybe tier 1, tier 2 colleges to do MBA, and then they will get a job. So there was not a direct opportunity at that time. That has been changed a lot nowadays. I think it is pretty. Every city, at least my city, has colleges where company comes and they do hire. So that's a good news. But still, there was a lack of opportunities. Okay, that is one part. Being in a what is the difference between a candidate from a tier 2 city and tier 1 city is the confidence, I would say. Most important is confidence, irrespective of knowledge or skill. A tier 1, and again I'm generalizing, but that is what I have seen 90% time, that a tier 1 city person will be more confident, more aware, about what is happening than a tier 2 person. Again, I'm generalizing, there are exceptions to it, but mostly I'm saying, right. And that initially hamper visibility of the person, that initially also hamper learning of the person, because you're not confident enough to go to talk to a person and take some input. You are
Okay.
afraid, right? You are shy. You think that I don't know what people will think about me, right? So those kind of thing happens, right? And the communication skill also, I would say, is something which a tier 2 person, to understand just the lingo, it's not just English, but the storytelling, the lingo you use, the confidence again, the body language, right? All those things are I would say are better in were or are better in tier 1 colleges, tier 1 cities, people, right? But that's the initial this thing. So when I started my career in consulting, maybe 6 months I would have faced this problem. But then you learn the tricks of the trade if you have an open mind, if you're willing to persevere, if you're
Mhm.
willing to persevere that 6 months. And generally people do that. It's not that people don't do that, because ultimately everyone everyone is being valued, because at least in corporate they are valued being because of the value they are adding, the skills they have, the knowledge they have. So in short term, yes, it definitely it affects on and everything of the new candidate. But it's just a matter of time. You just have to keep learning, keep talking, persevering maybe sometime, and ultimately you'll be valued because of your knowledge. That is for sure. That is for sure.
Yeah.
One more last point. One more. The way we come to corporate is also a very, 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 very difficult way from tier 2 generally. Like, you don't have anything, but you need to, do study. You need to do study. You need to prepare for interview. You have to give. Well, from a tier 2 perspective, I'm saying a candidate from tier 2 would have, because he has to first break that ceiling to come to tier 1. So a lot of things are at stake,
Mhm.
specifically those people who are not economically good, right? They have, most of them have a lot of stake, or even those people who are well to do but they're investing something. So there's a
Mhm.
lot of things are at stake. So that risk perception, that anxiety also plays an important role during your performance, initial performance, in interview, in initial job. But once things stabilize, then I think then there's no difference.
Oh, that's
Because
Uh,
great.
ultimately
Even something.
ultimately people are people, tier 1, tier 2, people are people, they are same. They are good, they are great people in tier 2, they are great people in tier 1, and they gel well and they do everything together, right? It's just a matter of time, I would say, which it takes to stabilize.
yeah. I would like to add another dimension to it. So what Alok said is, fully what I agree with. Confidence does play a huge factor, right? However, because people from tier one have a lot of opportunities
Mhm.
given on a platter to them, what also happens is, at many times I've seen that tier two people are more hungry to succeed than tier one people. Right. And again, I'm generalizing it a bit, but it happens. I do see that, between me and Alok, right? I mean, for me, I know that if this opportunity doesn't work, I would have another opportunity, right? Because we have been always been provided a lot of opportunities. Vis-a-vis, people are more hungry from, who are from tier two cities. And that is a great thing for companies, where you have hungry people who are willing to go out and succeed. Yeah.
So that's really great. And if I just read from both of you, I think what you said, that it is not English that generates value. It is the core value that you bring onto the table determines that where
Exactly.
will you land, right? And it really doesn't depend on whether you're coming from a tier one city or a tier two city. Yes, we understand tier two cities needs to have the infrastructure. That's what tier one cities have today. But now because of internet, and I think to a large
Yeah.
extent, we bridge the digital gap that we had earlier. Tier 2 cities have almost similar opportunities what a tier 1 city would have few years back, right? So with
Even the
that,
role models. Yeah. Sorry,
and,
go ahead,
and
bro.
definitely the role models, and I see that a lot of people are coming from tier 2 cities and they have really made things large and big. But unfortunately, we are towards the end of today's session. And thanks for thanks for being in the show, and thanks for having your time and sharing your experiences here. Uh, I would say that if you have to summarize what we discussed, and if you have to build a framework around that, typically what we see that we need to go by a framework if we really need to grow, and it is called SPIT. SPN, where S stands for the skills that a student needs to have. It's basically given, but it's not sufficient. Parallelly, a student, if they needs to make big, they needs to have proof of knowledge. That means it's not that I know, but you have to showcase that I've done some work, and that they have to prove in certain way, because companies believe in value, not just the speech that you make. And finally, through tier 1 and tier 2 cities, we talked about networking, because I believe today's network is the network one can have. So if you come to a bigger cities, or even if you can build a big network from a tier 2 cities, it's still helpful for students to really, really grow in their career. So Alok, Shruta, thanks for your time. Really, I hope that you make great with GoCrackIt, and our viewers
Thank you.
get a good help, and they have now a basic understanding what really happens in the world of data analysts and what's the reality around, so that they can make their path accordingly. So thank you.
Thanks, Mosam.
Great.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Shruta.
Great
Mosam. It was
initiative,
great.
and all the
Bye.
best to.
So hello friends, if you think the video was helpful for you in taking decision, so please give us a thumbs up. Please do like the video and don't forget to subscribe DataBicep, because we not only bring various technical know-hows, but we bring a lot of videos to help aspirants holistically to set their mindset what is needed to be successful in the world of data in the long run. Please do share this video with your friends whom you think need this information, and please comment below what is your journey in the world of data. Thank you, and we'll meet again next week. Bye-bye.